In part two of this conversation with Aaron Jackson, Mercedes and Aaron talk about being a young professional, how things have gone so far in career, and where things are going for Aaron in his career. A lot of great insight in this part, so please enjoy this part two with Aaron Jackson.
So I think now we will transition to the young professional part. And the first question, how has the start of your career, we'll say over the past 3 years, how has it been?
Oh man, it's been interesting, right? Because I spent the last 2 years of my career in COVID.
Right.
So I think the first year it was great. I got my first job, AT related job coming out of school in 2019 was I worked for NovaCare Rehabilitation through Temple, and I worked with Temple Cheer and Dance. That was my first job. I like when I tell you those are really my babies because those are my first set of kids. Like I was just like, and it was a sport like cheer that I had worked previously in the past over the last 2 years prior. So we ended up, I think we went to nationals that year at UCA and did fairly well. They lost their game day division by like point something that year. So it was a really tough, but to really see that team gel and really come together was beautiful. And the amount of access I had at that time, I wish I did more then than I sometimes do now, and I have more time. So that was my first job. The coaching staff there, Jen and Jenna were great. They really welcomed me in. I kind of got a late start to the year, so I kind of started end of September, beginning of October. I kind of just dove right in. Got on the board with them. They were great. Really made sure that I was taken care of. Got me gifts for Christmas, like that type of stuff. So when we went out to nationals, they made sure I was taken care of. Had a coworker I went with as well. Her name was Allison. We were both in the MSK degree at Temple together. So we would talk about how we can figure some stuff out. We would bounce stuff off each other's heads. Then COVID hit, right? Right after we came back, I went on spring break to California, came back from spring break. That week we came back from school, got a call from one of my professors like, hey, you got to go quarantine. I was like, for what? Like, they was like, because you went to California and the university said you got to go quarantine. Like, okay. So I got an early start to that COVID lockdown isolation. We started teaching online at the time, transition doing that. So athletic training was basically dead in the water at that point in time. Because cheer was basically done for the year and dance was done for the year. So then later that summer, because of COVID, I moved back home to New York. And then I started working at a JUCO, Nassau Community College out there. Spent a year, about a full school year there, and then moved down here to New Orleans. So, and then I've been again dealing with COVID a little bit. So it's been a rocky start. To begin, but I will say it's been a start that I didn't predict at all. I predicted a much smoother start and a much more different avenue. I would have never thought that I worked cheer twice in the 3 years I've athletic trainer. But I had some of the best experiences thus far working with cheer. Going to UCA Nationals in 2020, then this year being a person who helped this team, our Xavier cheer team win their national championship this year. It was a really humbling moment for me as an athletic trainer to help a team and see a team thrive and win the national championship. My baseball team's doing pretty good now. So just seeing it's been a lot. It's been a lot, but I would say it's been rewarding to say the least. Hopefully every athletic trainer has an idea what they want to do for their career. I would one day want to work basketball professionally. So that's the goal. If I get there, I get there. If not, hey, that's God's plan at that point. But it's been a start. It's been a start. It's been a start.
I can imagine, because I've never personally worked with cheer or dance. Yeah. I've had them in my sport responsibility, but contact has been minimal. So I can only imagine what having an entire cheer and or dance or gymnastics team responsibility can.
And here's what I'll say about working cheer, and this is to really hopefully a lot of young kids that are coming out of school, like about to come out of school or whatever. I've learned more working cheer than working any other sport. Right. I've seen more working the injuries that they talk about in the textbooks and the stuff they don't talk about in the textbooks. I have seen working cheer for 2 years, and out of the 3 years that I've been in school, like I've been a certified professional. Like people like, oh, like, and the people actually sound like, how do you like cheer? And I'm like, I like it. It's my football, to be honest. Like, wow. It's just like, and people act like, what do you mean by that? I said, I would love you to come to my one practice and ask me and just sit there, and you will understand what I mean by my football. Some of these girls are getting thrown 10, 15 plus feet in the air. Some of our, stunts are 10 plus feet off. These girls our flyers are 10 plus feet off the ground, right? And then they're getting popped off of that, doing some type of skill. So yeah, like you want to say, it's like how people head to head in football. It's the same way. I've seen more concussions working cheer than I've seen working football. When I worked in Mike, you were working football when I was an undergrad. So it's definitely good. And I think it teaches you a lot about how to manage certain things. It teaches you about like how as an AT you might have to conventionally change up the things that you were taught how to do and do them a different way, but still get the same result. Right. Because most cheer girls don't even know what an athletic trainer is. Right. Like they ain't really know, or they do have, and they had very small interactions with them. So you got to do a lot. I had to lay a lot of groundwork when I got here to Xavier with our cheer team and getting them to want to. Some of them didn't want to come in at one point, and I said I can give you the results if you just work with me. And some of my kids knew what it was, and they did the work, and like I said, it paid off. So I would say for any kids who are about to come out of school, from graduating from that MSAT degree in the spring, I said that there's a job, an internship, and I'm not a huge fan of internships, but there is an internship of you working, cheer or dance. I would say do it. Like it'll give you some great groundwork for you to building blocks for your career. You'll get to see a lot, and you'll get to really experience that type of love is different. I would say. Like that type of love from cheer kids are different. Like they love really hard, and especially when you treat them well, they love really hard.
Wow.
So I would say just like any team is gonna love hard if you treat them good, but like cheer different, man. They're different. But they're great. So that would be my advice to any kid coming out. I said I know you want the football experience,
right?
And that's what a lot of kids are. I want the football. But I said, go work something else first. Go work something else first. Get your feet wet a little bit. Get your skill, hone your skills. Feel good about. And even as year 3, if my skills ain't great, I try to say this to a lot of and I'm a YP, early professional myself. But I try to tell a lot of kids who just came out of school, how you feel is still how I feel. I just had a little more, foot in the water, but I still don't know everything. I still sometimes are blown away by something, right. Oh, I might have missed that. And I'm okay with admitting that I'm wrong. And I think that's the most important part, coming out of school and getting your feet wet. Go work cheer.
Yeah.
It'll throw you for a loop. I'll tell you that for sure.
I don't disagree. I don't have that football mindset. Like that's not the end all be all for me. So probably anything except football, rugby. I might say cheer, but that's only because I don't know. But
I would say, and for any athletic trainer that wants to, and there's another shameless plug, they don't need any shameless plugs, right?
right.
But Cheer on Netflix will give you a very good idea as to what my life as an athletic trainer who works Cheer is like.
Okay. So cheer
If
on
you,
that.
if you ever watch Cheer on Netflix, go watch it, especially season one. Season one really gonna give it to you like how difficult sometimes it can be for an AT that works Cheer. It's not easy for sure.
Okay. So I'll put that on my
Shameless
list.
plug.
I haven't seen it. So
Shameless plug.
I'll
Shameless
look.
plug.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm about the shameless plugs, man. I give people
I
the
listen, I ain't mad at it. We gotta get in where we fit in, right? Like, okay. I think that kind of brings us to the next question. So, with you still being within like your early professional career, do you feel that you've had the resources or access to the resources that you need to succeed?
I feel, and it, I would say yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, and I'm just going to speak on my experience. I'm going to preface that with this. This is my experience. I'm a big guy. And I think oftentimes my passion for things gets misconstrued as being aggressive.
Okay.
I'm a 6'1" guy, weigh almost, and I'm talking about myself, 300 pounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my passion for stuff and how passionate I am for stuff sometimes gets misconstrued as being aggressive. So I think that hasn't been the best, start to my career thus far. I think people have, wrote me off because I come off really passionate. I'm not going to hide who I am. And I think a lot of people want me to do that. They want me to tone it down. I'm gonna tell you, this is what you're gonna get.
Right.
You can get some. I can be very relaxed, but I also could be in your face. But I think, a lot of people, when you interview and you sit down and talk to people, the bass in the voice and all that just comes off a lot. And I've been through my fair share of interviews with schools where you can blatantly see they a little scared. I'm like, what you ain't gonna be scared about? Like, so I won't say I've always had the advantages that some of my other counterparts have always had. I wish I did, because I'd probably be in a different position if I did. Like, sure. I would probably be in a way different position, but I don't think God, I go shameless plug on God here. I don't think he don't do nothing that's not best for us. So I would say the greatest resource I've had is really building community. I think that's been the greatest resource. Having athletic trainers who look like me and are able to relate to what I go through, whether that be in the cookout or that be in the think tank, wherever the case may be. I think that's been the greatest resource. Finding mentors who I can call at any time of the day and walk me through certain things and help me through certain other things has been the best resource. Yeah. I would say sometimes on the outside of that, I haven't had all the resources, because sometimes resources aren't given to people that look like me. We just gonna keep it in spec. But that doesn't mean I won't work my behind off to get to where I want to be. So, I think there's a lot of resources that, we come out as students. Some people just want to throw us to the wolves. And, right now, I think with the MSAT degree, like a lot of older ATs, and I know that one of the questions earlier was, what can OGs, or as we sometimes consider them, more seasoned ATs do for YPs? I think stop deterring dreams is stop deterring dreams, because you always want to. What I've seen since I've been in the profession for the last 3 years, a lot of a lot of people who've been in the game for a while, they deter people's dreams. And I don't get that. I don't understand how, who are you to deter someone's dream? First of all, who are you? Because you get to live out your dream, right? And you had to, I'm not saying you don't got to, and I'll preface says this before I continue. No one is saying that these kids should not have to work hard to get to where they want to be.
Right.
We're not doing that. But what I'm asking you is to give some grace to these kids and try to help them understand, hey, you might not like that. And this has happened before. Like, you might not like that, the MSAT degree is here. Right. You might see that some of these kids coming out into that degree aren't fully ready. Mm-hmm. Okay. As a seasoned vet, maybe you need the help, right? This is your time to be a better preceptor. Maybe actually go be a preceptor, right? Mm-hmm. I think we spend so much time. I think, some of the older ATs spend so much time complaining instead of helping. I'm like, if you don't like it, help people out, right? Help them go volunteer to be a preceptor.
Right.
And don't use them as just unpaid labor. Let's just talk about that. And like I said, I ain't gonna call no. Like I said, I'm big believer not ruffling no feathers, but I do believe on calling it what it is. Yeah. Like, I think you got to stop. As for the training as a whole, we have to talk about pay. We already know pay is a whole another thing, but we got to sometimes do away with some of these internships, because some of the internships are god awful terrible. I'm like, you're asking kids, and what I want people in positions of power who sit at these seats with admin and stuff. I want you to understand this: the age of the average athletic trainer coming out of school is only getting more increased. Yeah. You're gonna have a tough time finding people to fill positions, intern positions, and by not paying them anything and then not giving them no type of benefits. Because at the age of 26, you come off your insurance.
Right.
It's you by yourself. You solo dolo now, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very tough. And I try to tell, people ask me like, okay, how do we get people to be interns? I said, stop, make it a full-time position.
Right.
Sorry. Like, pay. The reason why I know it's like, okay, well, they don't got the experience. Help them get the experience. That's your job. That is where right. So I think that is where I think, a lot of seasoned vets can really help us out as YPs, is help us get there. You knew how hard it was. I'm not saying that we don't have to work.
Right.
I think a lot of us want to work and we don't mind working. And just because your experience doesn't compare to ours, don't mean we still not working.
Yes.
Don't mean we still not grinding the same way. Is that our grind, unfortunately, looks a little bit different. Right.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things as a early professional that I experience that's pretty similar to what someone in that's a seasoned vet experiences, but they just experience it in a different way and they experience it in a different time. Right. Listen, what's the craziest thing as a young professional? You come into your career, you got to deal with COVID. I got to deal with another war about to kick off again. I got to deal with inflation. I got to deal with all, bro. And I can't as a YP, you're telling me to come take this internship for less than $20,000.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
Less than $30,000.
Oh.
With no benefits. Ooh. Now, if you are a young professional about to come into the profession and you have your parents' insurance, hey, by all means, do what you do. But I'm talking about that's when they came out of school and they graduated, they were 26, 27. What happens to those folks, right? But then you're chat, and I think the narrative that a lot of OGs push, like, oh, just take this job. No, I'm not doing that. Why am I? For the sake of what? For the sake of my sanity? No. And I think that's where, and we can chain this back to the mental health thing. I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is between the young professionals now that's coming out and people that's been in the game for a hot minute, is that we prioritize our mental health a little bit better than they did.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not going to say that because that's going to ruffle some feathers. So, but I think that's just where I think we got to start to uplift, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of tearing down. I think that's the one thing our profession does really well, is that we tear each other down so quick. You know about being on AC Twitter. dude put a towel over his shoulder. He's talking about, oh man, we can't go with a towel. That's not do your own, stay in your lane and run
Right.
your own race.
Well,
if I decide to put a towel over my shoulder, who says the towel is not for me to dabble? I'm sweating maybe.
Okay, it gets
Who
hot.
said the towel is not? Oh, if I'm working an event, like UCA Nationals, I'm working an event like UCA Nationals, and somebody gets a compound, like hypothetically a compound fracture, I don't want everybody seeing that, so I'm gonna throw a towel over it until I can stabilize it and we get everybody away. You know, that's a whole. So I think there's a whole lot of people that are, oh, I don't hold the water bottle. Do you hold the water bottle? I'm like, who cares if you hold the water bottle or not? The question is, are you a competent enough athletic trainer to provide healthcare to the people you got to provide healthcare for?
Amen.
Yes or no? Regardless of what you wear, how you wear it, what tattoos you got or don't got, like everybody got a complaint about what people are supposed to look like, or what people are supposed to dress like, or what accessories people wear when they do doing clinical practice. The question is, am I still providing quality healthcare?
Amen.
The question is probably yes. The answer to that question is probably yes.
Yes.
So stop, and that's why I say we spend so much time tearing people down. So like, and you know, if we start building people up, especially like, you know, I try to do that for, like I said, I'm only year 3. So for me, like, I think my job now is like, and I'll be at the end of year 3, going next year will be, next school year will be year 4. What I try to do for a lot of people come out of MSATs is I try to tell them, you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. Like, just because your path may be a little unconventional doesn't mean you can't do it. And I think I wish sometimes, because we look up to a lot of these people that are doing it already. We look up to it, man. We look up to a lot of these people who look like me and you sitting there trying to, hey, we want to get there. I want to get there one day. So shoot it to me how I can get there.
Yes.
Like, I'm already busting my behind all the time, but what else do I need to do? What other resources do I need to tap into? What other maybe certifications do I need to get? Like, maybe who do I need to talk to get this internship for the summertime to maybe work in NFL, maybe work in the NBA, maybe do WNBA? What can I do to get there? And when you get these students and you get young professionals, what I will say, I've talked to a lot of YPs who are in the same year mark as me, and they've done internships, and some have been really good, and then some have been really bad. Right. But I remember I have a like I mentor. I'm a year 3, and I have a mentee as well. Like, and I talked to her, like, and I'm like, listen, don't let nobody tell you can't do nothing. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. Just it may not be the most comfortable decision you want to make. Right. But you can still make it. So I think that's where I think our profession really needs to go in terms of pushing people forward, right? We do so much disservice by telling kids no.
Yes.
No, you can't do something. And you know what? And that's why we in the athletic training shortage now. Because we tell so many kids no, and what ends up happening, most of these kids say, hey, well, if you're gonna tell me, to turn my dream, I'm gonna go become a physical therapist. I'm gonna go become a PA. I'm gonna go do whatever.
Nobody's.
I'm not saying that's wrong. But I'm a shameless plug. Nexus Sports Med right now in J. Osada. Like, AT is not just a stepping stone; it's a valuable career. It is probably one of the most rewarding careers. If you tell me, yep. Right? It's not just a stepping stone. So I think we've got to help kids want to stay in it. We got to encourage. Like, we gotta constantly, and even when stuff doesn't go, and we might not understand it from our perspective, because what my experience 3 years ago may be completely different from what it is as an MSAT student in their program now, because their curriculum is completely different. Their curriculum is not the same. So for me, it's like, I'm not going to tear you down and say, well, how can I help you? What can I do to help you get through it? What can I help? What can I do to help push you forward? Because at the end of the day, it don't matter if it's white, black, whatever. How can I help you get to where you want to be? If I could be a reference for you, fine, I'll do it. If I could do this for you, fine, I'll do it. Yeah. If it's not jeopardizing my character or my morals, I'm gonna try to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I feel like that's what it needs to pay it forward. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of mentors in my time, in my life so far, thus far, who have not only pushed me, but helped me see things differently, helped me get to where I am. Like if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like for me, like it's only right that I do the same for other people coming out. And I think that's what we gotta, as a profession, we gotta do too. Like, and my mentors, like, do they agree with me all the time? Do they tell me when I'm wrong? 100%. 100%. Like Dr. Carlita Moore tell me I'm wrong all the time. I'll call her and be like, nah, you might be wrong about that. I'm like, okay. And she might break it down in a way where I understand it because she's been in the game a little more. Like, you know, or if I call Rob and talk to Big Rob, like Big Rob will help me see, maybe he been in the game for a while. Like he gonna help me see it. Maybe I'm not seeing it the same way, and that's fine. But at the same time, what they've been in the game for, Tony the same way. Like if I'm not seeing some, or Dr. Mansell, everybody does it for me. Like if I'm like, okay, this is what I see. Am I wrong for what I see, or am I not seeing it from a different or a certain perspective because I'm blind? That's two different things. Sometimes I'm not wrong. Right. But sometimes I'm also blinded because I don't see it. I'm blinded by my own perspective. I think that's where mentorship is so important because they help you sometimes take the blinders off, right? Because when we're going through our own situations, we always sometimes think it's one track. We might not always think it's, you know, maybe somebody else going through it. How can we get them through it? And I think, you know, right now, that's why I would say any like young professional coming out, if you don't have a mentor, find one, find mentors that honestly you might not always align with. Right. I will say too, like there's sometimes where some of my mentors will challenge me on stuff. They be like, well, have you thought about it this way? Like, and that's the best way for me to, I think, to navigate as a young professional. And that's why I would say I've been so blessed to have mentors like that, to have mentors like Rob, Larry, Dr. Mansell, you know, Dr. Moore. I listen, I have at least about 5 that I at least can call at any time. Exactly. Like, hey, this is what's going on. How can I work it out? And I'll probably get a different answer and a different perspective from each one. Exactly. Because they all sit in different seats. So it's different, right? They all might been in the game for a while. Or I might even go, like, I'm a shameless plug Sierra too, because Sierra be helping me out too. Like, I'll hear her be like, yo. She be like, bro, what's going on? I'm like, and we'll sit there and chop it up for an hour or two. I'm like, okay, am I seeing this the right way? Same thing for her. Like, and I think that's the part that of the profession I love the most. I love the community. Like, yes. Because community is important because that's what keeps you afloat. Like, you know, when you feel like you on an island by yourself, sometimes when you're on an island by yourself, sometimes all you want to do is just nothing. Exactly. You just feel like it's just you. And sometimes it's not always just you by yourself. There's a lot of other people going through it as well. So, you know, just share that experience, share that load with them, and they'll help you see it differently or help you navigate it. I would say, like, you know, in another not shameless plug, but I'll tell, you know, any professional, the young professional that's about to transition into the profession is, again, find you a mentor or a couple of mentors, maybe some that are not in, they might be in different settings than you, right? They might not be in the setting that you want to work in. Right. Like, shoot, I got 2 that work in education. I got another one that works in high school. I got another works at a D3 college. I got another works at a D1. Like, so don't be afraid to mix it up a little bit, because then you get a better perspective of how you can navigate it, and a better perspective that can help you, or a perspective that helps you navigate that process easier, that you ain't gotta struggle. Exactly. So yeah, that's really when it comes. I think that's where, you know, I think one of the questions was about mentorship. So I kind of think I tackled that. Yes. But, and I think that's what for us about, man. I really hope like that our profession really starts to change in the next like couple of years, because you know, we got so many good people out here that are leaving the profession because we can't get support. Yep. Or we can't get, you know, we struggle here and there. You know, I would say for me and I'll talk about my experience, is growing up, I didn't see a lot of ATs that looked like me. Right. I would say the first AT I ever saw, and I didn't even know he was an athletic trainer at the time. First AT I ever saw was Roger Hines for the New York Knicks. I'm from Queens. I'm a big basketball fan, big New York Knicks fan, and when I was growing up, I didn't even know what that Roger Hunt was. I was like, oh, he's just there on the sideline. I don't know what he really does.
Right.
But then when I started getting, I'm like, yo, Roger Hunt is really the first black AT I saw. And then after him was Ronnie Barnes, right? And then from there, I slowly started seeing a few more people like Scotty Patton. I saw him. He was with the Saints for a really long time. And then I didn't see really, like when I was like 2013, like I didn't really see a lot, right? But now, fast forward to 2020, I'm seeing a lot, right? We've seen a lot more people that look like me that I can achieve that dream because they can get there, right? You know, you're seeing we got 3 black women. We talking about it before we got on. You got 3 black women in the NFL right now. We about to have more, 100%. Because right now, and this is just where our profession. I think a question on there is where our profession is going in the next 10 years or five.
Yeah, I was like that. That's the next one.
All right. Here's where I see our profession going. Right. Our profession will be, and they can agree with me, disagree. I don't really care. Our profession will be led by women, 100%.
Amen.
Our profession will 100% be led by women as a whole. I'm talking about from NATA down to border, like from the entire strategic alliance up. And even at any level you go to, you're going to start seeing women become head athletic trainers, women become directors, more women and women of color becoming directors of sports medicine, head athletic trainers. In the professional setting and the collegiate setting. That's what you're going to start to see. Like that's where our profession is going. The profession is, it's the time now is for women. I'm not a woman. I can't, but I'm telling you where it's going to go. And people are like, yo, AJ, you might be like, little. No, that's where it's going. Because
it's
there.
We're seeing the starts
We're
of
seeing it. We're seeing the fruits of a lot of, but in the next couple of years, I will guarantee you will see a woman become a head athletic trainer for a professional. No, because that already happened. There's already a woman that's already become a director of sports med, head athletic trainer for the Portland Trailblazers. So I'll take that back. But in NFL, we're gonna start to see some women become in the head role. I guarantee.
Amen.
That's one of where we already have a woman sitting at the helm of NATA right now. But we're going to start to see more women become in these prominent positions in athletic training. We're going to start to see them sitting at, like I'm telling you, and we're going to start seeing it, and people are going to be like, oh my God, like that is where our profession is going.
Yes.
Also, I think our profession is going to like just be, hopefully our pay increases. I hope, right? Because in the next 5 to 10 years, if that don't happen, it's going to be a real tough time to get athletic trainers in the door, and you going in the clinical setting. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about in the academic setting because I'm talking about in the clinical setting. You're going to find a very tough time finding athletic trainers who would want to work for not a lot of money.
Exactly.
So, but I think I believe, and I'm going back to what my previous point. Women are great leaders. I can't honestly say that. I would say that under the time that I've been in my career as a student, I've been in leadership roles. I've been in lots of them. Oh, tons of them, right? But what I will say is that when I watch women as leaders, what I see is they just have the innate responsibility to lead. They do. And this may be unconventional for a lot of people, and I can care less if you feel like my thought process is unconventional, but it's true. We want to boil it down to where our society is going. It is led by the women, and it should be, because they're better at it. And like I said, I've been in positions, but I've also seen how much better women handle the game. They just know. Sometimes they just know how to, and this is what I would say too. I hope our profession stops becoming so. Wait, should I say? Let me see the thing. Should I say this? Let me think before I say this.
Oh man, it's making me a little nervous.
No, but I think we have to stop doing the women in our profession such a disservice. I changed my language.
Okay.
We have to stop doing them such a big disservice. We have to stop putting through so much hell and high water to get the same thing that me as a man can get easy, right? You know, we talk about gender equality, right? Equity, right? Those are big things where if our profession really as a whole started to sit down and figure it out, you would see that it's bad, right? And it's like, well, we got at some point the tide has got to start to change, right? We got to stop making it harder for a woman who is just as qualified, even more qualified, overqualified for a job that's getting the buck passes. Not saying that person who get the job ain't good either. Maybe but hey, we compare resumes. She been in the game a little longer. She been doing it a lot better. So then why is she not getting her opportunity to shine? Right. I think that for me begs a lot of, for me it begs a lot because it says, well, like, I don't believe in trusting a woman to lead. The question is why not? That's my overarching question is why not?
Drop the mic. Drop the mic.
That's where it is. That's the professor. That's because and I was thinking about the question like beforehand, but I was like, it was as before when you sent me the list, I was like, where's the profession going? I'm like, I know pay is going to go up there in a bit, but I'm like, what about? And then as we were talking, I was like, it's going to be women, man. It's going to be. And I wouldn't care. Like, and I don't care. I'm gonna support that job because I know what they do. Like, I know how good they are at it. Like when you witness it for yourself and see people who have sat in those seats, like, and I'm gonna give another shameless plug again to my alma mater, like Stonebridge University. Like, my program director at the time was one of the very first women to become a head athletic trainer for a Division I university.
Period.
Shout out to Kathy, Big K, as we like to call her, right? Like, so, hey, shameless plug, right? She did it, right? I see women in leading as program directors. Shout out to Dr. Mansell, program director at Temple.
Amen.
Majority, if we keep it in a stack, majority of the professors at Temple are women. That's
wow.
Come on, like in our not athletic training department, the majority of them at Temple were women. Yes, and darn right good if we be honest.
Some of the best.
Some of the most smartest people I know.
Woo!
Like I sit down and talk about we never go to clinical athletics. So the smartest women some people I know are women. And not saying that smart, like you sit down and talk to them, they be like, yeah, you drop gems. Like crazy. And that's what I'm saying. Like, until we start as a professor, we start tapping into that area a little more and start cultivating. And that's the word I want to use: cultivating women in athletic training and start giving them their fair shot. Once we start seeing that, man, oh man,
life is going to change.
It's gonna be incredible. Wow. It's gonna be incredible. I mean, like there's so many women in athletic training now who I see, and I'm like, yo, you killing the game right now, bro. Like, you are killing it, like killing it. Yeah, we know a lot, and we know a lot of them that's killing it. Yeah, even outside our little niche and group that we know, that's killing it, and they look like us. I'm like, bro, they killing the game right now.
Like, amen. Thank you. Yes, y'all kill it.
Killing it. So, like I said, that's what I really think. Aside from salary, I think those are really the two things for me where I see our profession going in the next like 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Really, and honestly, so, and I see that every level, right? We see it at the district level, at the national level, the district level, state level. You're gonna start seeing, and there's a lot of women that lead at the state level.
Amen. Shout out Dr. DeCesaro.
All right, shout out you. You eat that District 2, eat that chair. Come on now. I was gonna do that, but I was like, throw it in there. I think that's what's important, right? Highlighting the women who are really out here killing the game. Like, so for me, like, I think that's where, hey, if I get an opportunity to be ahead somewhere, I'm gonna take it. But if there's somebody a woman that's more qualified, let her. I don't mind following under sound leadership, regardless of if it's a man or a woman. That's the thing that people gotta understand. You take yourself out of it, you take your opinions out of it. Sound leadership is important, regardless if it's a man at the helm or a woman at the helm. I don't care. Like that's what it is for me. So like you can be, people like, oh my God, well and I know people gonna watch and be like, well, he might be, whoa, he doing a little too. Nah, I'm not.
No.
I'm saying what a lot of us feel.
Exactly.
I'm saying what a lot of us feel, but just sometimes are afraid to say. And I'm not one person that's not afraid to say it. So
we're gonna say it, period.
I'm gonna say it.
It is what it is.
It's what it is.
Wow. Yes. I mean, okay. I'm here for it. We touched on a lot for just 2 questions, but it answered enough. The next question, what advice would you give to yourself as a young athletic trainer?
Be patient. Be patient.
Oh, that's a good
one. And I mean that in every single aspect of the profession, especially when it comes to job.
Yes,
looking for jobs. Be patient. The right job will come along. If you just give it some time, you be patient. You're gonna have to interview. Sometimes you're not gonna hear back. And then also telling myself that just because you don't hear back is not a knock on you as a clinician. Because sometimes we apply for jobs that we want. You're like, dang, I just want to interview. I want to get my foot there for an interview. But I know if I get an interview, I can at least get myself to being like a candidate, right? A final candidate. But I will say is that if you don't hear a no, if you don't hear anything, you hear radio silence or you hear a no, that does not devalue who you are as an athlete trainer, right? Because sometimes people just looking for certain things, and there's been plenty of opportunities that I put my name in the hat for, where people come back and said, "Hey, you were great. We were just looking for something specific, like." They said the reason why we didn't give you a call because you just didn't fit the criteria that we were looking for. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I remember I put in for, because I want to work basketball. I put in early in my career, I put in for a women's basketball job at a mid-major D1. Someone told me to apply for it, threw my name in the hat, gave me a good recommendation, all that. I never heard back. And a couple weeks after time had passed, I got a call. A person called me, was like, hey, like, just let you know, the reason why you never got an interview is because we were looking for a woman to fill the job. Your resume was great. They said your recommendations were flawless. Like they loved you. Like they couldn't have anything better positive. We were just looking for, this is what we were looking for. Right. And I said, okay, I'm not even gonna hold it against you because there was nothing wrong. Like that's just what you were looking for at the time. Right. So I think that's a big component is just letting, reminding yourself that be patient, remember who you are as an AT, remember what you bring to the table, remember your value and what you want out of a job, and out of your career too. Like, so if you can remember those couple things and I think also remember that every battle does not need to be fought is another thing I have to constantly remind myself even now. But I would definitely tell my younger self, even before getting into athletics, and not every battle is worth being fought. Because some battles are intended for you to lose. They're intended for you to lose. And if you realize that the intent is for you to lose them so that you learn something. Like the point is and I always say, and I was saying this to a friend of mine the other day, so every blessing is tied to a lesson. So until you learn the lesson, you're not going to get the blessing, unfortunately. That's just how it works. And if you can remember those things, like I forgot who told me, what mentor of mine told me this, but they told me that it was like every battle needs to be fought. You need to spend your energy fighting that battle because it's a battle you're probably going to lose. And I said, okay. And then sometimes your pride says, dang, I don't want to lose. What do you mean I'm going to lose? I don't lose. And then you still end up losing because you chose to fight when you could have just bowed out. You save yourself a lot of headaches when you don't have to go through certain things. So for me, it's really, really about those kind of things I mentioned: patience, value, personal value, professional value, another thing as well. And then just remembering that, like I said, not everything is worth the battle. You got to pick and choose what you want. So
I'm gonna take some of that advice too, because I probably just I need reminders sometimes. Well, we all do.
We all do. We all do. Listen, and I'm not, and I try to, and I'll tell the people this: like, you will never be perfect. Chasing perfection does not exist. Like, people always say practice makes perfect. No, it makes improvement. It doesn't make. It's not. You don't. There's no such thing as perfection.
Right.
No one could ever be perfect.
Even
if you get 100 on the test, that don't mean you're perfect.
No.
That just means you knew information very well.
And then you have to put it into practice.
And then you got to put it into practice. So I think that's why I always another thing I try to remind myself is, and I tell my athletes all the time, perfection doesn't exist. I don't need you to be perfect. What I need you to do is give me effort. If you can give me effort, I'm fine.
Yes.
And people are like, what you mean? Like I said, stop asking and this is, before I move on to the next question, stop asking your athlete to be perfect or to do something. Ask them to give you 100% effort in that thing you're asking them to do. If they can do that, they win the day. I'm cool with it.
Wow.
If you can come, and I tell my athletes, I don't need you to be perfect. Like, I need to be good at this. I said, who's telling you need to be perfect at this? Who's telling you that perfection even exists?
Right.
I said, you're telling yourself this narrative, and I'm telling you, I don't need you to be perfect. When you step into these four walls of this atrium, perfection does not exist. Right. So leave perfection at the door if that's what you choose to try to do. But when you come into this facility, remember, I need you to give me effort. Yeah. Intentional effort. That's the big. People can give you effort, but the question is the effort intentional.
Intentional effort.
Intentional effort is a big thing. So that's why I try to tell my people, my patients and my athletes all the time, is give me 100% intentional effort and it will be fine. Wow. And anything that you do, just be intentional and just give effort. And then you reap the rewards when you do those two things. So.
Wow. Thank you.
So I try to be a little shameless. I'm a lot older up here than what I am on.
And that's fine.
So
and it's working out.
It is, and people always ask me, like, my kids always joke around, like they always asking how old I am, and I would tell them how old I am. They'd be like, "What?" Like, like when I first started at my job at Xavier, one of my kids thought I was 34. I said, "Hold on. Whoo, take a pause. Not that old. Not that old. Not that old. Wow, like you're aging me very, very much right now." But
wow.
But I realized it came from a place because they were hearing something, and they respected me like I was older. Right? They knew I wasn't. Some of them knew I wasn't that far away from them age, but it was the respecting because of how usually what I say and how the intent of what I say. Like, I tell them all the time, like, give maximal effort. Yes. Right. At the beginning of the year, one of the things I was telling my cheer team was, if you want to be champions, you have to have a champion mindset. You got to, right? If you want to be, the goal of the year is to be national champions, right? I can go back and talk about this now, but we would talk. I would say every time I would talk to them at like practice, before practice, after practice, I would say, y'all tell me what y'all goal is for the year. That's not going to dictate the level of healthcare I give you, but that's going to dictate the level of intensity I give you and holding you accountable sometimes. Right. You tell me our goal is to be national championship at the end of the year. Guess what? I'm going to hold you to that. But in order to get there, you have to have a championship mindset. You have to, right? So they be like, and I always remind them, like, championship mindset. You got to get into it now. We got to feed in. And they would ask me sometimes at the beginning, in the midway point of the year, they were like, "Hey, do you think we're gonna win?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I just don't think. And I told them sometimes, I said, and I say certain things to light fire into people. Not that I don't believe in them, because you're not giving me the effort that it takes to get there. I've been a part of national conference championship teams that went to nationals and done well. I've been a part of that before, right? So I know what it takes. The question is, are you going to show me what it takes? Right. You're going to show me a level of intensity, level of effort, the level of dedication that it takes to get there, right? Because it's not easy. It's not an easy road, right? It's a very hard road, actually. Yes. The question is, are you prepared to walk down that road? And I would say at the end of the year, they lived up to it, right? They won the national championship. They lived up to it. They said, "Hey, we're going to go and win." I said, "Okay." I said, I'm you telling me. I said, y'all got to show me that y'all would have went. I said, I could believe in y'all. I do believe in y'all, but y'all got to show me. I said, stop. I don't need to stop telling me. Believe it in yourself first, right? It's the self. I already got. Listen, I've been to the summit before. I've been there. In my personal life, I've been a part of championship winning teams before. So I've been there. I want y'all to get there. I want y'all to push that boundary and get there because I know how bad y'all want it and how much y'all worked y'all behind on to get it.
Yes.
So let's go. And I push them. Like I said, I will continuously push people. I said, you might not want me to push you, but I'm gonna do it. Because at the end of the day, regardless if you get the result, and here's this, I would say there's greater lessons in the process than the result.
Yes.
Because it's the process that really makes who you are. It's not the result, right? So we say, okay, well, I had to put, and we talk about me applying to jobs, right? I had during COVID, when I was trying to find a job, I applied to maybe like 40 jobs. Barely heard back from anybody. And then even this year, before I got a job at Oscar, I applied to like 20 places. Ain't heard back from nobody. I said, bro, this is not. But I said, and I ended up getting the result of coming here, going down to New Orleans. But it was a process that had taught me so much, right? It was a process that taught me the self-value. It was a process that taught me how to advocate for myself and what I wanted out of the job I went to. And it's that's what the process taught me. So I think sometimes we got to tell our athletes that too, right? And we got to model that, right? And getting back to modeling behavior, because our athletes are sponges. They are still very young, right? We deal with our patient population between the ages of 18 and 24.
Yeah.
Your frontal lobe has not fully developed until you're about 26, 25, 26, 27. So there's still a lot that needs to be transformed and learned at our age group. Like you can't, I can tell you, I've had kids who I've interacted with for a half a semester. And they made a 360 just like that from they have. Right. Because they start seeing it. They model, but you model the behavior that, right? And I'll say this, as an athlete or trainer, if you want your athletes to be on time, you have to be on time. Oh, well, my athletes don't show up on time. Well, do you show up on time? Right? So because I told them earlier, like if I want the level of intent with my warm-up, maybe I have to be out there giving intensity to my kids too, right? Well, but if you're just lollygagging sometimes, and I had it happen too, where I'm like, maybe I'm, taking a little longer doing some stuff, and maybe I get caught up in doing some stuff because life happens as an athletic trainer, we know that. Right. But I notice a level of intensity when I'm present, or if I take my time getting out there because I got stuff to do. Or sometimes if I'm not there at all, if I'm at another practice or whatever, I know what the level of intensity looks like because I hear about it. I hear about my kids, like, oh, well, practice was not good today. No, why not? Because intensity was down. Like we didn't have it. We didn't have it today. We weren't all there mentally, right? And I think sometimes we gotta once we start challenging, especially our older athletes and our older patients, we start challenging them and try to change their minds because they're about to get out and go to the real world, right? So sometimes I spend a lot of my time as an athlete trainer talking to my seniors. Actually, I spend a lot of time talking to them because they're about to go. The bubble of college is about to burst. So like, it's like, how do I get you ready? Right.
That's real.
Yeah, you about to graduate, but how do I get you ready? To graduate is one thing. To start to excel is another thing. So I think for me, like, that's what I spend a lot of my time. Like, let's get you ready to go out and to be a force, like, to go accomplish the dreams that you set out for yourself, regardless if you're going to go take a gap year and then go do something else after that, or you going straight to school after that. Let's attack this. So I think for me, like, that's kind of what it boils down to for me as an athletic trainer and the whole nine. And honestly, I learned that from mentors and people who some preceptors, and some athletes too. Some of my athletes are my greatest teacher.
Ooh, amen.
If you let them teach you, they will. Right? You say, and they'll say to you, "Oh, you've been my great. Like, you taught me a lot, or you helped me through a lot." But man, you don't know how much you helped me.
Right.
And I think everybody at some point has to be. You have lifelong learning is something that everybody, I think, has to get to. And I know we've been on here for a hot second, but I think life, and that's the thing too, like lifelong learning is so important, yes. Right? Because our profession constantly changes. Constantly changes. We already seen how quickly it can change, right? Drop of a dime, all athletic programs are shut down. We had to figure out how to get our stuff back up, right? So I think that is being a lifelong learner, not being afraid to change your ideas and thought processes about something to fit the time that we in, right? We know that, and this is a great point. Like people are like, oh, I don't use ice anymore. Okay, ice is all right. Okay, all right. Research does this. My clinical practice says that. I don't use. Okay, fine. Do what works for you, but understand that you had to change your mindset to that. Like at one point, every athletic trainer that I knew was slapping ice on everything.
Yes.
But that was a tough transition, but we made the transition to that, right? Every athletic trainer at one point was like, well, I don't want this inside degree to happen. Well, it's here. What do we do with that? How do we change our mindset to encourage and uplift that type of program, right? Because we're saying, well, our kids may not be getting the best of hands-on experience like they did when it was bachelor's or it was an intern. Hey, a lot of AT said the same thing when it went from internship to curriculum. So
gotta adjust.
We gotta change with the times. We gotta be okay with just developing and being okay with changing. Like there's no wrong with changing. Like you should change every day. Honestly.
Yes.
If we talk, and I use a perfect analogy about change, right? When you look at a plant and you sow a seed, right? Every day that plant changes every single day. Every day it changes. Every single day you start. I put the seed in the soil, water it down a little bit. From day one, day zero, that plant, that every day it changes every day.
Yep.
It never stays the same.
No.
No matter the conditions that it's under, it'll always change. Sometimes it may have a little moment there where it's not growing. Right. It may be stagnant, but it's still changing. Right? Just because something's not growing don't mean it's not changing. Right? And I think some people in this thing about athletic training too, just because you're not, and a lot of young kids, just because you don't get the job that you want to go get outside, right? When you first finish school, don't mean you can't still be an athletic trainer.
Right.
Right. Don't mean that. And just because you start here, don't mean you can't get here. Right. I will always say that. I remember, and this part stuck with me a lot when I heard this. Tiffany Morton from the Kansas City Chiefs, she was on a Zoom call one time with a whole bunch of people from the think tank, and it was like we did like a professional sports Zoom call. And I remember she said, it's funny how people think that you can't get to where you want to get because you at one point. She said, I was at high school when I got the call to come to the Chiefs as a full time. I said,
wow.
I said, and you try to tell me you can't get no? I said, nah, bro, you can get wherever you want to get. It's the question is, what is my level of intent to get there? What is my effort to get there? What do I got to put in the work? And like I said, don't be afraid. And I try to tell I tell my mentee all the time, like, don't be afraid to put in the work. I said, it's a grind. You're going to get through it, just like I got through it, just how somebody got through it before you. And we're going to make it work. I said, that's how you build success in this profession, unfortunately. But I think it's also about, the continual uplift of the young people, because the young people are going to drive the profession going forward. Yes. We're going to take this John over, and we're going to try to make it better. That's the goal. I think that's the goal of
how it's always been done. We gotta.
You can't listen. I always say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and trying to get a different result.
Ooh.
So that means that in athletic training, we've always done stuff pretty much the same way, right? Always done it the same way, and we continue to get the same result, right? We continue to get the result of, well, coaches don't respect that. We can get some of our ADs. No, it's not everybody's case. I'll preface that. But as a total, you talk to a lot of athletic trainers, my coach disrespects me. Parents disrespect me. ADs disrespect me. So we're my pay is low. I'm working crazy hours for low pay. incredible. Couldn't be. Listen, I'm telling you, at some point you want to say, "Can't be me."
Okay, we got to.
And I appreciate this one, and this is why our profession is starting to change, because we're starting to say, "I'm tired of the same old, same old. Right. I'm going to change my situation." And a lot of athletes, what I've noticed recently within this course during COVID, a lot of athletic trainers said, "You know what? If you're not going to do something for me, I'm going to stop doing for you, and I'm going to take care of me." I know so many ATs that have said career change, stayed in athletic training, but went to like the clinic outside of athletic training. So I can go work 9 to 5, make the same money you making, and have weekends off. Can do multiple vacations when I want to. Yeah, of course.
Nah.
I know these 3 athletic trainers that have done that in this last year. They said, "Listen, I'm just going to go. And I can make more money doing having a better work-life balance, having better mental health. Why not?"
Yeah.
So I think for me, like, that's what we're starting to see, right? We're starting to see people like, "Hey, I love you," but this ain't like. And I think the hurtful part, because it hurts so much because we feel like we're leaving our kids behind, right? That's why we never want to leave. Sometimes I'm like, "Dang, bro!" Like, I remember when I was at Temple, like, and I didn't want to leave here. I was like, "I want to go back. Go back." I was hurt when I had to leave because I was like, I had developed such a relationship, but I had to start reminding, like, when I got to this point in my life, I said, relationships don't stop just because you're not there physically. Especially because a lot of my friends now live in New York and I don't live down here in New Orleans. A lot of that we FaceTime, you know. So a lot of my kids, I tell them, like, even if I decide to leave and go somewhere else, just know the phone still works.
Exactly.
Pick up the phone and call. So I think, yeah, like I said, that's really what, you know, athletic training in a nutshell. And we talked about mental health earlier, but I really think our profession is on the right tracks of improving and making some monumental strides in how we think about things and how we go about getting the outcomes you want to get, and stuff like that. So I think, you know, there's still a lot of work to do. You know, volunteer work. I just ended up volunteering for a position just recently. So, you know, for me, it's like, how can we continue to push our people forward, our young professionals forward? Like, I'm in that early professional commit range. You know, career advancement is like 6, 7 to 12, I think it is. So, you know, how can we as early professional committee keep people in the, you know, that's my thought process now. It's like, okay, I'm halfway in it at this point, between that 0 to 6. How do I keep people like me in it? Because right now a lot of people want to leave. Yeah. But how do I keep them in it, invested? And it's hopefully trying to build relationships with people that we can a lot of us can start to collaborate with each other actually in the professional setting, right? And I'm talking about clinically wise, like, shoot, like, not saying that like I'm gonna pick my friend from here, but if I know you bring something valuable to the table that is needed in my program, I'm gonna bring you here, and we're gonna make sure that my program thrives, because at the end of the day, yes, the goal is for us to keep kids healthy 100%, but the goal is also to send kids out of here better than what they came in as. So if we can, and some kids might only last a year. Yeah. Hey, but if the goal is to make them better than what they came in as, it don't matter how long they're there. So it don't matter how long they're there. So I think that's the important about collaborating with each other, and hopefully we get to see some work with people who, like, hey, we were colleagues, we were, you know, friends on Twitter, and now we working with each other. Right. And we got a powerhouse of a program. I believe in building powerhouses. Like, that's like, eventually one day I hope to be a part of a powerhouse program, like a program who we do it all. Like, there's nothing we can't do, because everybody on this team provides this amount of value that you can't find nowhere else. Like, you're gonna want to come. You're gonna be like, I want to be a part of a program. Hopefully, be at the helm of the program. If I'm not, I'm okay with that. But be a part of a program, or be helping, or be leading a program that becomes a powerhouse. That, like, you look at my staff and you say, "Hey, they got some heavy hitters on my staff." Like, this staff. It's like, no matter the sport, we got heavy hitters every single sport. Yes. that's the type of program I want to eventually build. You know, one of my goals as in my career is to be a head athletic trainer, director of sports med one day. Like that's my goal, is to build a powerhouse program. Like to like when people say, when you hear my program, you're gonna be like, dang, yeah, they do it different up there. And like I said, we're not gonna be perfect.
Of course.
It doesn't exist, but we're gonna make sure that when our athletes come in this building, they're taken care of every single which way we can. We're gonna make sure that ATs have a work-life balance, right? That we know that our athletic trainers, whether it's man, like if a man, like a guy, one of my male staff members has it, and this is and I don't want to mention this, but I think it's important. Right? For you know, we talk about one of the things that we talked about earlier was where's our profession going, and I hope our profession is going to the stage of that we start really pushing forward, helping each other out. Right. Like, hey, like, yo, when somebody got to go on maternity leave or paternity leave, somebody we can pick up the slack because we got it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can make sure that, like, hey, if somebody got to come help out with here until this person come back, we make it work. I think that's where I want to see my program at. Like, where I don't need my male staff member worrying about a job when he just gotta have a kid, you know, or my woman staff the same way. Like, you just had a baby, you should take your time to rest and be with your child.
Right.
And cover it, and then come back to make sure that to come back to the fore, because I expect you to be better. I expect you to be in my expectation for my staff in the future. I always talk about, I believe it's about affirming what you want in your in life. My staff in the future is about we can hold each other accountable when we're right. We hold each other accountable when we're wrong, but we can also make sure we're there for each other to support each other no matter what. And I think to do that, you got to have like-minded people that all want it the same, all have the same goals in mind. Okay, what is your philosophy? We can have different philosophies on treatment and rehab. I'm fine with that. But if the goal at the end of the day is to make sure the athlete is performing at their best ability and their mental health is taken care of, I'm cool. I don't need to hover over you. Just let's make sure our program does what we need to do. So that's where I see hopefully in my career, I see my as a profession. But yeah, like I said, I love this profession, man. You know, I thought about leaving a couple times, especially during COVID. I was like, but I think really getting back into clinical practice this year, you know, and really diving a little bit deeper. I had a newfound love for the profession and trying to get back involved on the state level and the district level. So yeah, you know, that's where we at. That's where we at.
I'm here for it. You mentioned it a little bit, but as an AT and your role, how do you take care of yourself?
I'm a big like routine person. So for me, I have to like, you know, we know as ATs, our life is crazy, especially when we're in season.
Right.
For me, like I had a tough transition when I started working here to like finding out what my self-care looked like. I mean, me and my therapist talking about, like, she's like, what does your self-care look like? And I think for me, I try to at least give myself one off day if I can. And then during that off days, I don't try to do nothing work related. Try to go grocery shopping. I try to and then every day I try to have a routine every day where like I wake up in the morning, try to get something. If I'm going to eat at home, then I eat before I leave. But I'll do my self-care, my morning routine, which is make my bed, do my facial routine, do that, get ready for work, sit at my desk, you know, think a little bit about the day, you know, take my vitamins and stuff. I head out the door, and that's the start of my day. As long as I can do that every day, I'm pretty much good. I'm pretty much good. So if I think upcoming, I would love to have a dog as part of my self-care, getting a little pup, you know, as at some point. But yeah, so that's really what I do to kind of take care of myself, because I realize you can't pour from an empty cup. And because even if you're trying to pour from an empty cup, it's just air. So, you know, I had to learn that the hard way, especially early in the fall semester. Like I was working like crazy. I did a stretch of like 18 days straight, and I was just like, and I just came like I feel like I was a statue. I was like, I can't.
There. Yep.
I came to work one day and I was just stuck. Like I just sat at my desk all day. Like I did my rehabs that I had to do. But after that, I just sat there. I was like, I need to go home. So I just leaving a little early that day. And the next day I took a day off just to recharge and try to tap back into feeling like getting back to myself, because it can be a lot, especially like I told you, start show. I've been on the road the past 4 weekends. Like I miss my bed. I'm like, I just want to wake up on bed because usually we leave on a Wednesday, Thursday. We don't come back till late Sunday morning. So like for me, it's like, Lord Jesus, let me just be in my bed for a little bit. But other than that, I think that's really kind of how I try to take care of myself. I try to hang out with some friends when I have the time. Yes. Mardi Gras down here just happened, so went out to experience that for a little bit with some friends.
I can imagine.
Going out to eat with like one of my friends. She's in nursing school down here, so when she has a crazy schedule like I do, so we just try to get together when we can and do that type of stuff. And I call my friends a lot. Like me and my friends talk a lot. Like I try to at least talk to my majority of my friends at least once a week on the phone. Chat it up with them. Just talk about life and what they're doing, what I'm doing. They like, oh, when you gonna move back home? I'm like, who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much kind of what I do in terms of taking care of myself. My athletes do a pretty good job of like doing a great job of holding me down too.
Right.
Because they were like, hey, are you off today? You good? Like, I'd be like, hey, bro, you ain't gotta call me out like that. I'm talk today. Like,
I
remember one time my alley walked in, she said, AJ, what's up? I said, what's going on? And she was like, what's wrong with you? I said, yeah. I said, she's like, something off. I'm like, we're not doing this right now. You're not.
They tapped in just as much as you're tapped in.
Yeah, so they do a great job of like holding me accountable and helping me out. And that I think that's in therapy another thing too. Like that's a big thing that kind of gets me charged up for the day. I try to do that like once a month. Yeah. And just trying to talk about a few things and what's to come and all that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do to kind of take care of myself.
It's good. At least you're doing something, you recognize it, those around you can recognize it and keep you on track. So I think that's important. Whereas, a lot of times we get caught up in the hustle and bustle and we do put ourselves on the back burner, but taking the time to do what we need to do to get ourselves together, tighten up a little bit.
I know.
And I'd like to try to remind people, like, listen, don't be like me. I didn't recognize it in the past where I was just like, letting myself go. But now, don't be like me. Make sure you're taking care of yourself as you take care of others.
Exactly.
And like you said, you can't pour from an empty cup. So recharge yourself. So.
Recharge. Gotta plug the Tesla back into the wall sometime.
Yes, because they popping up. Yes. That's the perfect analogy for the time we live in.
Gotta plug the Tesla back up, man.
Woo! We know you don't need no gas right now. Must be nice.
Oh, Jesus. Talk about gas, Lord.
Like, help us all. It's gonna work out. We got it. We moving forward. If you could change or eliminate one thing, whether that's a modality, a common practice, mindset, whatever, in the field of athletic training, what would it be?
I'm gonna probably catch some OGs gonna catch some heat for this one too.
That's fine.
Us as YPs don't gotta go through the same thing you went through.
Amen.
That's it. We don't gotta go through the same thing. Just to get we don't gotta, like I always say, we don't gotta go through hell and high water too. Like I believe in helping people climb as you climb. Pull somebody with you, right? And if you can do that, I feel like that's important. So we don't gotta the next generation shouldn't have to go through the same thing that the previous generation did. Like, we should leave it in I hopefully by the time I leave the profession, I left it in better hands than what I came into it with. So that's kind of one thing I wish to eliminate, like common practice wise, because I feel like that's a common practice.
Yeah.
Modality wise, man, I'm a modality buff. I love modalities. I really wouldn't see anything I would eliminate modality wise, because I think everything plays a role and it's necessary, especially when, you know, sometimes combining modalities together really does the trick. So modality wise, I wouldn't change much, but that common practice, I would say that you need to struggle because I struggle. Like,
right. And I think that makes sense. And it just popped in my head. It would be the same concept of those that are parents. You don't want your child to struggle the way that you did or have to go through whatever you went through. You want to make it better for them. So I think that's a good little way to put it for people. Like, do you want your child to go through what you went through, or you want it to be not necessarily easier, but better?
I think it's important that we still learn the same lessons.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But don't mean I gotta go through the hell and high water to learn that lesson. Like, I think that's the important part. I think a lot of people miss. I'm not negating that we don't still, as us as YPs, we still need to learn lessons, because we do. But if we can learn them without going through the turmoil and the pain and the struggle, why not? I believe in, listen, if I can make it easier, if I can teach you, help you learn a lesson, right, without eliminating the pain that came with it, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. But you know, some people say that pain is your best teacher. And unfortunately, I'm saying some cases yes, some cases no.
Right.
But if I can help you learn an idea or develop an idea differently without all the pain and the struggle, why not? So I think that's our responsibility for the next generation that's coming up, is to help them through it. You know, help them develop skills. Like I believe in, there's no such thing as I suck at something.
Yeah.
My belief is that I'm still developing. Like as a YP, you first come out of school, like you gonna be developing, bro. Like it's cats in the game that have been doing this 20 years. They're still developing, right? And they develop it in a different aspect, but they're still developing. So I think that's the important thing to remember, and really to kind of answer that question, to really kind of negate that common practice of since I struggled, you got to struggle too. I don't do that.
Yeah, that's not what we're gonna do. No. So the final question: what does being an athletic trainer mean to you?
Man, I think I touched on this earlier. I think impacting lives. I think that's what it really means to me. Impacting lives in different capacities. But I think it also giving a voice to the voiceless as well, right? I think sometimes our athletes have a voice but don't have a voice. So because they might not all coach might not always respect what the athlete might say, and they might express some things, but I think when we can convey what our athletes are going through, especially if it's a collective thing or even if it's an individual thing, we can kind of help them out a little bit, and help make their lives easier, make our lives easier. So I think that's really I think that's what the profession means to me is impact. So if I can do that on a given day, I know I did my job right.
Yes, period. Walk in your purpose. That's all you need to do. And I think if you're walking in your purpose, you feel fulfilled. Like you don't need all those extras, and you're doing what you're supposed to do or what you feel that you're called to do. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Wow. Wow. You dropped a lot of gems today, AJ. And I appreciate you. I appreciate our conversation. And I learned some things, and I like to really just be quiet when I'm hosting or whatever, just to really listen and see people's perspectives. Like you said, like I have my own viewpoints. I mean, we kind of share some viewpoints, but just to hear somebody else's perspective on things, it helps me, because it helps me to change not only as a person, but it also helps me to change as an athletic trainer, because I don't do everything perfectly. Like I say, I tell my patients all the time, I don't know everything, So if I can take the time to learn from somebody else, then that's helping me and it's helping them. So I thank you for this.
Oh, thank you for having me, man.
No problem. Is it anything that we did not discuss?
No, I think we covered a lot, man. We covered a lot. I hit on as people joke around me because I was raised in the church, so I'm like a bishop. I go on tangents.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I won't be before you long and be before you long. So, I think we definitely covered a lot today, and I think really like a lot of stuff that I've been sitting on. Like we just started talking about some stuff today, and a lot of things that I've been thinking about in terms of career, in terms of professional wise, like I got to say, and I'm hoping that really people who watch this episode, they really get something out of it. And and I'll say this, like for any young professional, or even if you're not a young professional, you want to chat or talk, I'm more than welcome. As you can see, I love talking. But if you ever need, especially as I know a lot of the young people that are coming into the profession, if you need any advice that I can help you out with, just let me know, man. I'll do what I can, or even connect you to somebody that can do it better. Because I don't know everything, and I'm still pretty young in the game too. But I can at least put you on to somebody that can probably help you out a little bit. So. So that's really it. I ain't got nothing else,
Okay. How can people reach you? Say, where do you want people to reach you?
I would say the best way to reach me is probably on Twitter. I'll be on it a lot usually. So the best way, I think my Twitter handle is AK Jackson_ATC. I believe that's it.
That's all right.
But yeah, that's probably the best way to shoot me a DM, follow me. I think that's probably the best way to get in contact with me. And then from there, if you can't do that, then I guess we'll figure something out.
Yes, we can definitely figure it out. And I will look up your exact Twitter handle so we can put it in the comment. It sounds right.
All right.
Listen, don't get me to lying, but
I think that sounds like about it.
It does. So we will put that in the description for the episode so that people can contact you should they want to further have conversations, whatever the case may be. And hopefully, we can do what we need to do to push you forward.
And I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm excited. Like where our profession is going, and I'm glad I get to be a part of it. So any way I can help, us get there, I think that's what it means. I'm cool with it. So yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna just say thank you again, and I'm excited for the people to listen, watch, whatever the case may be. I'm
a little nervous though, but I'm excited though. I'm excited.
Thank you for listening to this part 1 of our recording with Aaron Jackson. We'll have part 2 out next week. A lot more information about young professionals starting off career. We're really looking forward to getting that one out as well. If you're interested or willing to help, we are offering our Throw a Lifeline program where we are helping to fund and then crowdsourcing any other funding to help athletic trainers get the supplies they need to take care of those that they serve. We look forward to speaking with you next episode.